Welcome to Field 304, Study Session 5. The relationship between science and technology. Introduction. In this study session, we will discuss how philosophy interrogates both science and technology. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to outline the point of convergence between science and technology, discuss the point of divergence between science and technology, point of convergence between science and technology. How related or different is science to technology? The relation and difference of science and technology has been the subject of debate among scholars, especially philosophers of science and technology. Some scholars argue that technology is different from science in that while science concerns itself with what is, technology is concerned with what is to be. Others have emphasized that while the scientist is preoccupied with how things are in nature, the engineer is preoccupied with how things ought to be. In what seems like a contrary opinion, other philosophers of technology have argued that technology is applied science. This preserves the differences between science and technology. It is believed that technology is about activity or practice, but this activity or practice is underpinned by theory. This levels technology with science and differentiates it from crafts and arts. Two sets of technological theories can be identified. The first set are substantive theory, and they provide knowledge regarding the object of action. That is, they are largely applications of scientific theories. The second set are operative theories, and they are primarily concerned with activities or practice, even though operative theories are not like substantive theories, which depend on scientific theories. They share a relation with science in the employment of scientific method, such as the use of theoretical concepts and abstractions, modification of theories, prediction, and so on. Thus, substantive technological theories are always preceded by scientific theories, whereas operative theories are born in applied research and may have little, if anything, to do with substantive theories, this being why mathematicians and logicians with no previous scientific training can make important contributions to them. Difference between philosophy of science and philosophy of technology. What is clear from the previous section is the fact that science and technology are related in some sense and different in others. This can be buttressed with the fact that scientists and engineers initially receive the same training at the start of their education, which only gradually diverges into pure science or engineering curriculum as the training advances. This relative relation and difference also holds between philosophy of science and philosophy of technology. Philosophy of science is basically concerned with investigating the methods of generating scientific knowledge, the grounds for accepting certain scientific theories as true and others as false. Thus, these questions asked by philosophers of science usually concern the entire community of scientists, their aims, arguments, choices, and so on. Philosopher of technology does not concern itself with or ask questions that borders on the community, that is, paradigm of engineers. Rather, it is concerned with the place and meaning of technology in human society, culture, and existence. It is claimed that both philosophy of science and philosophy of technology are 20th century inventions, but each has followed a somewhat different set of philosophical traditions, had pursued sometimes divergent questions. However, philosophy of science leads that of technology by a few decades. Philosophy of science is an analytic transformation of epistemology in the light of the success and clarity of science. Unlike the philosophy of science, philosophy of technology has primarily drawn its philosophers from the praxis traditions in North America from pragmatism, phenomenology, and the neo-Marxian critical theorists, with analytic strands in a minority role. Philosophy of technology as a self-conscious activity emerged about 100 years ago among engineers trying to give meaning to their work through reflection. This reflection paid off in two ways. First, these engineer philosophers were able to get engineers to see technology as something different from science and deserving of its own epistemological, metaphysical, ethical, and political analysis. Second, these thinkers were able to counter the criticisms leveled against technology by philosophers such as Lewis Mumford, Martin Heidegger, or Jacques Ellul, in a manner that has resulted in the criticisms of applied ethics. Philosophy of technology is an emerging subdiscipline in philosophy which has not yet fully arrived. The flood of literature on philosophy of technology seems to suggest some form of a subdisciplinary arrival, but the philosophy of technology has not fully arrived for two reasons. The first reason is that philosophy of technology has not generated recognizable and sustained internal arguments from the perspective of Kuhnian normal science, in which a recognizable set of problems are resolved within a paradigm. It has been argued that philosophy of technology remains more paradigmatic than its family cousins, either the earlier arrived philosophy of science or its chronological peer, science studies. That is to say, while paradigmatic debates have been developed in philosophy of science and in the sociology of science, which is of the same age as philosophy of technology, the same cannot be said of the philosophy of technology. It has also been claimed that philosophy of technology has not yet arrived because it has not been able to defend its disciplinary boundaries like philosophy of science and science studies. It has also been claimed as well as that philosophy of science takes its place among a somewhat more diverse set of disciplines which now include history, but also sociology, anthropology, political theory, and so on within science studies program and science, technology, and society programs, again both in North America and the UK. In both cases, the participant disciplines have identities and patterns of recognition which the other participants recognize. Since philosophy of technology has not been able to establish its own recognized identity amongst other disciplines, it cannot be said to have fully arrived, even though there are recognizable philosophers of technology. Study session summary. In this study session, we observed the point of convergence as against the point of divergence between science and technology, and between philosophy of science and philosophy of technology. We also speculate that philosophy of technology is still in the state of becoming due to indistinctiveness, which implies lack of jurisdictional boundaries. We have come to the end of study session 5. Thanks for listening.